Hello, class of 2021. Miss Ponte here, and now I'm going to show you how to add your counselor or teachers on Common App so that we can upload your transcript and letters of recommendation. Because if you don't add us on Common App, we don't have a way to upload those documents so they can be sent to any schools you're applying to on Common App. So as you can see, I created a little account on Common App, and should kind of be what you see when you log into your account on Common App. So what you would need to do, and if you've already added colleges, you can just go to the My Colleges section and go here. But if you haven't already, you would need to add a college to be able to add a teacher. So I'm going to search for my alma mater because I know they're on Common App. So you would just click on the school and then click on Add to My Colleges. So once you have some schools added, and if you have more than one school, it would show up here. But what you would need to do is click under, and you can click under any schools. And then you would go down to this recommenders and FERPA section. So if this is the first time you're doing it, you have to complete these FERPA documents. First, you have to add your school information. So it's in the education section of the Common App. So if you've already done this, you wouldn't have to do it again. So I'm just going to choose Calvert High School. Continue. Date of entry. I guess you guys would be starting in 2017. And we are not a boarding school. You will graduate from this school, and graduation date would be 2021 in June. No change in progression. So you'd have to go through and answer these questions. And I haven't gone to any other high schools. And here where it says colleges and universities, if you took CSM, you would list one and then list CSM's information as a college. If you've taken dual enrollment or anything like that. Okay, and that should be good enough, I think, just to give me what I need. Let me see. Okay, so when I go back here again, I'm on the My Colleges tab, and I just picked under one of my schools, and then I clicked under Recommenders and FERPA. So there's a release authorization that I need to complete. So this law, FERPA, is all about your educational records, which would be like your transcript, and releasing those to other organizations like colleges and things like that. So it gives you a little bit of information about what FERPA is. Then you would just check, after you've read it, you would check I have read and understand it. FERPA form, I acknowledge every school that I attended to may release. So this is, again, all about releasing, giving us permission to release your school records, your transcripts, your report cards to any colleges that you put on Common App. This is kind of a tricky question here that a lot of students get kind of held up on. So this is about your letters of recommendations. So waiving your right means that you are okay with not being able to call a college and say, hey, I want to see that letter that my counselor or my teacher wrote for me. If you do not waive your right, that means you could call them and ask for it. Now, I'll tell you guys, this always tells us as a teacher, as a counselor, whether or not you waive your right. And I always recommend that students waive their right, because that means that you're very confident in what people are saying about you and that you don't feel the need to check up on them. But that's entirely up to you what you want to pick on this. So then you're going to check all these things, type your name as your signature. Then you're going to choose today's date and then save and close. And you're going to hit continue. We're going to go back to the recommenders in FERPA. All right, so this just popped up a couple of different things. So you're going to see here the invite counselor section. So what you would need to do on here is put in your counselor's email address. All my stuff pops up. And not sure why that's coming up like that. But anyway, I'm just going to put in my fake information here, because then what it will do is it will add me as a counselor here. And then I will get an email from you from the Common App saying, hey, so-and-so has applied on Common App, please log in and add their transcript and letter of recommendation. So if you have multiple schools on here, let me add another one. I'm going to add St. Mary's College because I know they're on here. So if I add that to my colleges tab, so now I have two schools on here. I have St. Mary's College and the University of Scranton. But if I click, again, going to that Recommenders and FERPA section under St. Mary's College, now if you remember, I added my counselor under me, under University of Scranton, but it's automatically going to show up on any college that you add on here because the Common App knows you only have one counselor. Now there's another section on here that says about teacher and other recommenders. So since we're under the St. Mary's College kind of part of the application, it tells me for teachers that I'm required to have one teacher recommendation and I can have one optional. So I can have up to two teachers writing recommendations for me on Common App for St. Mary's College. Now if I click on University of Scranton, again going down to recommenders and FERPA, if I click on there, they don't require any, but I can optionally add up to 3 because that's the teacher section. And then the other recommender, which would be basically anyone who's not a counselor or a teacher, they don't require any, but I can add up to 1. And let's just double check and look at St. Mary's College. They don't require any, but allow me to add 1. So if I'm going to add a teacher, and you can do this again on any college, let's say that I'm going to, and I'm just going to put down my information. I'm going to pretend that I'm a teacher so it doesn't randomly send someone else an email. But if I click on here, if you put in their email address, whatever teacher you're thinking of, and then you choose what subject they teach, I'm going to say world language. I'm just picking random things. My name, and then would I like them to complete an evaluation for me for St. Mary's College? I'm going to say yes. And that's going to invite them and send them an email asking them to go on my application. So you'll see I'll show up here. So that fills the one required teacher recommendation for St. Mary's College. Now I added them under St. Mary's College, and if I needed to add another, I can click invite another teacher, and I would go through that same process. I'm going to go on my other school, University of Scranton, because teachers don't automatically show up on college applications. So the counselor will carry over, but the teacher will not. And they'll sort of show up on a bank here. So since I'm not required to do any teachers, I don't have to add anybody on this application. But if I want, I could just add me again, and I would just click assign, and then it would come up here as a teacher on here. So your teachers kind of bank and you have to just assign them to each individual school. But the counselor, I show up on every single teacher application. So make sure when you're turning in a transcript request form or you're giving a teacher or a counselor a request for recommendation form and you plan on applying to schools on Common App, make sure you take some time to add us on here on your Common App so that we have the ability to go online and upload our letters of recommendation and transcript. Because if you don't add us, we don't have any way to attach our documents to your application. So if you have any questions, let your counselor know, but I just wanted to give you a brief overview on how to do this.